Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a fascinating breakdown of the hidden realities of aging. We're going to unpack the really nuanced relationship between growing older, the experience of loneliness, and how the high-tech solutions of tomorrow are stepping up to help. Aging is a universal journey, but the way we experience it, our life satisfaction, our sense of connection, and the care we receive is changing incredibly fast.
So, I want to kick things off with a question that might just flip your assumptions upside down. Is the greatest challenge in aging physical, or is it psychological? We almost always immediately think of aching joints or vision loss, right? But as the research we're digging into today reveals, the psychological hurdles can actually be far more devastating, and they are intricately tied to our physical environments. Here is our quick roadmap for today. First, the hidden reality of our aging world. Then we'll look at loneliness and life satisfaction, dive into social versus emotional loneliness, explore the future of care with social robots, and finally, talk about building a meaningful and peaceful life. All right, let's jump right into part one, the hidden reality of our aging world. Check this out. By the year 2025, 11.1% of Turkey's entire population is going to be 65 and older. That is a massive societal pivot. Worldwide, by 2050, we're looking at roughly a quarter of the global population hitting that age bracket. The big takeaway here is that the demand for care is just blowing past our current capacity, and those traditional care models, they're simply not sustainable anymore. Human resources in healthcare are being stretched incredibly thin. Now, as you can see, there are obvious physical and environmental challenges to aging: decreased muscle mass, loss of balance, and vision changes, like how the yellowing of the eyelids actually makes it harder to distinguish pale blues. But here's the thing. Because of these physical hurdles, older adults end up spending a huge chunk of their time indoors, right at home. And when your entire world shrinks down to the four walls of your house, the psychological stakes get incredibly high. Which brings us right to section 2, loneliness and life satisfaction. Let's look at this fascinating study on elderly individuals living at home in Ankara. The data reveals something super surprising about who is actually most at risk for loneliness. Contrary to what you'd probably expect, males, married individuals, and those with lower education levels actually reported experiencing way higher levels of loneliness. I mean, you'd think being married is a foolproof shield against feeling lonely, right? But the data tells a totally different story. Just having someone else in the house doesn't automatically mean you feel a deep, meaningful connection. And the study didn't stop there. It showed that low income and a lack of social security just totally tanked life satisfaction. But here's the real kicker. A lack of social media usage was also a major factor. I know, it sounds a bit wild, but in today's digital age, being completely cut off from the online world actually severely worsens feelings of isolation for older adults. It's a real eye-opener, honestly. Keeping our elderly population digitally connected is absolutely vital for their well-being. By encouraging the conscious, safe use of the internet and social media, we're basically throwing them a digital lifeline. It helps them stay linked to family, friends, and the broader community, which is proven to give a massive boost to their overall life satisfaction. Moving on to section 3, social and emotional loneliness. This is a really crucial psychological distinction we need to make. Not all loneliness is exactly the same. Social loneliness is basically a lack of a broader social network, like missing a friend group or community. But emotional loneliness, that's the absence of deep, intimate, meaningful connections. You can be surrounded by a huge social network and still suffer terribly from emotional loneliness. And you can fix social loneliness by joining a club, but emotional loneliness requires real, profound empathy to cure. To put that into perspective, there was this qualitative study in Artvin where elderly individuals described a family without strong emotional bonds as a fruitless tree. Just let that metaphor sink in for a second. A tree might be standing tall in the yard, but without any fruit, it feels kind of pointless, right? For a lot of older folks, family and social bonds literally are the fruit of their lives. Without them, they feel a devastating emptiness. Because of this, care simply cannot just be about checking blood pressure or making sure someone doesn't fall. It has to include spiritual and emotional support. Giving them that psychological backing reminds them that every single day has purpose. It fights off that ultimate loss of meaning that so often creeps in with aging, treating the whole person rather than just their physical symptoms. All right, let's pivot to section 4, the solution of the future, social robots. So, how on earth do we tackle this growing crisis when human caregivers are stretched to the absolute limit? Well, this is where some incredibly cool innovation steps in. We're looking at a paradigm shift where technology isn't just some shiny gadget, but an integrated partner in care. Let's see how artificial intelligence and robotic life are stepping up to bridge this gap. Meet social assistive robots like Paro and Lovote. Now, before you picture some dystopian sci-fi movie where robots replace human love, that's not what this is. These are supplementary tools. They react to touch, they make comforting sounds, and they provide structured emotional stimulation. For dementia patients especially, they're a total game changer. They actually help reduce agitation, which in turn drastically reduces severe burnout for the human caregivers. And it's not just robots. The sheer power of artificial intelligence in elder care is mind-blowing. Look at these AI diagnostic accuracy rates. We're talking 90% accuracy for detecting dementia, 91% for cardiovascular disease, and 85% for knee osteoarthritis. By catching these clinical conditions so early, AI enables interventions that can drastically prolong a person's independence and quality of life. And then we have smart home tech, which allows for what we call aging in place. Most folks want to stay in their own homes, right? So we use smart sensors that actually learn an individual's daily life patterns. If the system detects early fall risks or weird behavioral changes, like someone not getting out of bed at their usual time, it automatically alerts caregivers. It's brilliant because it keeps them safe without stripping away their precious autonomy. Finally, let's wrap things up with Section 5. A meaningful and peaceful life. All this high-tech sensor stuff is amazing, but it absolutely has to merge seamlessly with the physical interior design of a home. The space itself has to actively support an aging body. The golden rule here is that the home must adapt to the user, not the other way around. Every physical barrier in a home is an obstacle to independence. We're talking about super practical ergonomic interventions here. Things like installing grab bars in the bathrooms and on stairways, using non-slip bands on the floors, and seriously cranking up the lighting to combat that age-related vision loss we talked about earlier. Even the furniture needs to be designed to accommodate reduced muscle strength so they can easily pull themselves up. These are the foundations of maintaining physical independence. But here is the absolute most crucial takeaway from all of this. We have to avoid what's called the robotization of love labor. Technology should always center on human dignity. It's meant to act as a supportive bridge, not a barrier. Social robots and AI are there to take the physical and administrative load off caregivers, freeing us humans up to provide the genuine, deep emotional connection that cures that fruitless tree loneliness. So I want to leave you with this final provocative question to chew on today. What kind of care are we preparing for our future selves? By integrating thoughtful design, smart tech, and genuine empathy, we're not just solving a crisis for today's elderly, we're literally building the infrastructure of compassion that we'll all need tomorrow.